I'm Kevin Casey. I'm a professional mixed martial arts fighter. And right now what I'm about to do is issue a warning out to all other competitors.
I don't want overs. I just expect them to happen.
Fatty's gonna fatty is real.
He is terrible!
We gotta know how many wieners are going down these dudes' throats.
I'm gonna go quick because I don't give a fuck about anything that's gonna happen on Saturday.
Hello, boys! We are just chugging along in 2019 MMA calendar. We're back. Another episode. We got the usual suspects. The Canadian teenager, Nushan. We got the Kentucky Sodsman, Wes Colvin. Guys, how are you? After seeing Uriah Faber return
Jesus.
and dominate.
Ugh. Yeah, gotta eat my words. Gotta eat my words. I mean, I think we're gonna go over the card last week and in depth, but yeah, the Team Alpha Male, they only lost one fight. They probably should have lost two. I mean, but yeah, they had a good night. Couple very surprising, and
Jay got a couple things dead on.
Yeah, he was dead on. I was definitely wrong there, and I ate the trash, and I lost a good size amount of money last week on that card. So I'm a little more timid this week, kind of picking my spots. Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Wes?
Yeah, you bastard got him one last week. Yeah,
I'm not gonna make you eat rat shit in Calcutta, okay?
I mean, I think we'll get into it, but I mean, you know your boy Bektik pretty well. I think that was sad. Even though it was still a little surprising. Yeah, I mean you got that one about right too, man. Yeah, but we'll talk about it. Yeah, pretty decent card this week too. So yeah, we're gonna get into it.
That's true. First, I want to touch on, since when is Dana White the modern Oprah Winfrey? He's giving out contracts. He's giving you a contract and you a contract and you a contract. Jesus, what is going on? Is it just overcompensation for getting called out a few weeks ago? Do you think that guy actually gives a shit about what people think about him?
No, I mean, not really, but it is still kind of. I tweeted it that it's kind of funny that he gives out 9 contracts or something, like joke. The 2 weeks after like literally not giving one to a guy that's probably as talented as any one of those 9 guys that he gave contract. Well, I mean, arguably he's definitely more experienced than any of them. He's fought on some of the biggest shows in Europe and shit. A really good fighter.
That's.
I mean, he's good. We
can talk about it. Who do you think's the most talented guy to get that they brought in these last 2 weeks?
I don't know. I can't remember all 17 people that he's given a contract to.
I'm talking about the last 2. Oh yeah, it's
a lot. It's a lot of guys. I mean, I'm not saying that he is. I mean, it's arguable, but he deserved a contract, man. I mean, but just watching him give out 9 over the next 2 weeks just kind of. It looks kind of stupid, man. But I don't know, man. Not saying that they all don't deserve them. They got finishes in their fights and all that stuff. But man, this is what the highest level of the sport, quote unquote, is now. I mean, you can't pick half these motherfuckers out of a lineup, dude. You could grab half of these dudes off of a bar stool in any fucking bar in fucking South Dakota. I mean. This is what it is now, man. Get used to fucking Friday night Axis fucking fights on your pay-per-views.
Well, what I can tell you is that it's been a while, and I remember maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years, 3 years ago, where we had high-level prospects going into the UFC and guys that I was genuinely excited about, like that I was genuinely wanted to do scouting reports on. It's not often now that
it's impossible now to do.
It's hard. Yeah, right. It's hard to find good footage. 1, and 2, the guys that are coming in, very rarely do we think, wow, this is a guy that we're projecting to be a top 10 guy within maybe a year, 18 months in this weight class. It just doesn't happen.
Tough used to work. Like it really did for a lot of years. Tough really did work. I mean, that was the spot.
Happening, though?
It's just they're watering it down. You gotta have bodies. I mean,
Or
seriously,
they're
like
bringing guys in earlier. Is that what?
yeah. I mean, they're not fighting at King of the Cage or LFA or RFA or every other place for a couple years anymore. I mean, if you win a fight at LFA on Friday night on Axis, you're probably getting signed. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just for example, that kid that they had from out of Louisville that fought on Tuesday's show.
Brendan Allen?
No. That was probably the
That
best
guy's
guy on
legit.
there.
Yeah.
The Lawrence
That guy
kid.
is what?
That guy's
Brendan
legit,
Allen's
I think.
legit. Yeah, that
Yeah.
guy's
He's
good.
probably in terms of current ability, he's probably the best guy they signed of these 9 guys.
Yeah, he looked really good. But yeah, that Lawrence kid, I mean, that dude is training at a gym here that literally has nothing. I mean, it's unheard of. He's trained.
Just looking him up now. I'm reading about him.
I mean, just zero training partners. I mean, the coaches. There's no any kind of jujitsu lineage at this gym he's training. I mean, nothing. But those are the kind of guys that are making it onto the Tuesday night fights. That if he would have pulled out some fluke choke, does he get a UFC contract? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, that's true.
And I don't know if it's like laziness on like the scouting or something, because I feel like even outside of the Dana White Contender Series, I feel like there's definitely a lot more guys that are getting title or UFC shots, just crushing absolute cans and having inflated records. It seems like they're more likely to sign those guys up than guys that are a little deeper in their career, have like a bunch of losses, but are better actual fighters than these guys that have these pumped up records.
But what are we? But do I get? Okay, so
it's financial too. I think you can sign those.
That's part of it, but I don't think it's as much as you think. I think it's more of, do we really care if a guy is going to be 55th in the division or 40th in the division? Does that make sense to you? I could rather have a younger guy who's going to be 55th than a guy who's 4 years older and is going to be 40th, because the difference in entertainment value, the difference in people caring about it is minimal in scope.
Yeah, that's why I think it's kind of financial too, because that 20-year-old, 22-year-old kid,
they can pay him cheaper.
A dozen less fights. I mean, some of the paychecks that were on Dana White, I mean, they're paying them hundreds of dollars, not thousands. I mean, these guys are getting fucking $1,000 and shit, dude. Here's
one other point. Do you guys also think that it's hard to actually get guys on the Contender Series of quality? They think they're either A, signed up at Worlds at PFL 1, M1, Bellator, or some other, or even Kombache at this point. They got money. They have a Univision deal. Any of those other organizations, the actual quality prospects, we'll call them, and that this series is really hard to find, or there isn't much else out there. Or if you're a good prospect and you want to go to the UFC, you're just going to get called in straight away and not have to go through what might as well be a qualifier.
Well, yeah, and I guess it probably depends on your style too. Like if you're a jiu-jitsu guy or a wrestler guy, you're not going to want to go on the Contender Series. That's a fucking waste. You can probably make more money on the regional scene, just making your way. Yeah, just beating up cans and getting a call that way, instead of having to like put your life on the line doing stuff that you're not used to doing, and possibly getting knocked out, and then you're that guy, instead of just using your actual skills that are going to help you be a better MMA fighter,
Yeah, it's probably a fine line too. Like I'm sure there's, we've seen guys on there that are really good and think they're going to go on there and stomp somebody out real quick and they're going to get their shot. They'd rather go that way, roll those dice. But I mean, I don't know, man. We're at the point now though that it's bodies now. I mean, they need so many guys.
That's a big part. And we know the big camps with top talent, they're not sending their guys.
No,
I don't. ATT and Jackson's and AK, they're not sending their top guys through this setup.
You've seen a ton of lab guys on there.
Yeah, lab guys, and we know what the lab is. The lab is a bunch of hardworking, endurance type of guys that
usually put on action fights.
And are not high-end talents for the most part. They just haven't been. There's been very few. That's the reality.
You got their high-end talent is actually kind of leaving that gym, a couple of them now. But I think
you get what I'm saying.
Somebody like Ed
Ed
Suarez, he literally started took over promotion of a whole nother company to funnel his guys into the UFC. You know what I'm saying? Yep. I think the lab has kind of a setup almost like that with Sean Shelby and Mick Maynard, to where they're trying to funnel, because they've had a lot of guys on there. I think they're trying to funnel some of their prospects just through that process, rolling the dice and see if they can get some guys in there, get a contract. I don't know, man. I like I said, I think this is how it's gonna be, man. It is a lot of bodies that they need, dude. Like a lot. There's a lot of shows to put on, man.
Yeah. Also, remember the lab is only in Arizona, so it's a quick.
Yeah, right there. Yeah,
it's right there. If they got to bring in somebody late, cheap flight, or just hey, we need, they're close enough where they're kind of in regular contact. Whatever, they're probably there. They don't have. The lab guys or the guys who run it, they don't need a reason really to go to Vegas to go talk with whomever and that type of thing. And they're probably brought in on short notice. But I've noticed that the caliber of talent on this series has gone down.
It started good, man. The first season. That's what I was gonna ask both of y'all. Like, have you seen somebody on there in the past couple of seasons that you're like, yeah, that's a guy, you know what I'm saying?
I know Brendan Allen is a guy. I mean, I think he's a guy that can. I mean, he's already fought good competition. He's not great though, but I mean, he could be. I mean, he's solid. I think he's worthy of being in the UFC. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Who's the highest ranked guy that's been through the Contender Series?
That's a great question.
I mean, Hardy's gonna get up there pretty quick, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
he's kind of a different.
Randy Brown's won a few fights now. I got to take a look.
Your boy, wasn't Youssef on there? Didn't he?
That's
compete
true, and he's ranked.
Yeah. There's that was like the first season or two. Like Jay said, it's gone down, man. I
gotta see if I can find. Let me just think.
I guess O'Malley, but he hasn't really done too much because of USADA.
Yeah, I mean, they've had a few guys off there. Don't get me wrong, but not a guy that you're like, man, that dude could compete up in the top five.
Boston Salmon were the first episode. O'Malley was the second episode. The third episode was Carl Roberson and Jeff Neal. Both are still around.
That's right. Yeah,
Jeff Neal was not offered a contract, but he ended up getting a spot. Who else? Julian Marquez and Brandon Davis. That was the fourth week. The fifth week, Mike Rodriguez, who we just saw lose. Alex Perez. Who else? Charles Bird and Grant Dawson. Dawson's okay. Bird, Benito Lopez, who just, we'll get into that. Gopi Sanchez didn't really do anything. And then the eighth week was Matt Frivola, Lauren Mueller, and Alan Crowder. So, not much there. I mean, season 2, actually, Randy Brown was from the looking for a fight. He wasn't from
right. Yeah,
season 2, we had Alonzo Menafield and Greg Hardy. That looks like a win.
Yeah.
Then week 2. Oh, I guess we could talk about Anthony Hernandez, who's fighting on this week's card. I think that would be a pretty Matt Sales, Ryan Spann, and Dwight Grant, all from the same episode. That's pretty good.
Those are legit established guys there, though.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That was a good. That was probably one of the best episodes they had.
Yeah, definitely.
And the next week there was Shevchenko's sister, and this guy who was really highly talked about, Tejovan Edwards, and he just completely shit the bed when he got
washed out.
He looked really good before that. Bevan Lewis, who's another one we got to wonder about, and something called Jordan Espinoza, who I don't remember. Yeah, let me see who else. Then week 5 was Macy Barber Domingo Pilarte, who we'll talk about, and Edmund. So that looks like one of the
Not
best
bad.
episodes.
It's not bad.
Next one was Jim Crute, Sodik Youssef, and something called Jeff Hughes. I don't think Hughes has fought in the UFC yet. Then there was 2 more episodes that season. One had Roosevelt Roberts, Ian Heinisch, Jordan Griffin, and Juan Adams. They're all around.
That's not bad, actually. That's just like, I mean, those guys are filling out the undercards of a lot of cards, and some of them are moving up. So I mean, I guess it's
all right. So then
bodies.
the last episode, I'll just tell you guys. Let's finish it out. Devontae Smith, Kennedy Nzechukwu, who's
Kenny
not good.
Nunchucks.
Yeah, Kenny
was the
Nunchucks,
first
and then
season, right?
Bobby Moffitt. No, this is
No,
last
that's
season.
the second season.
Oh, second season. Okay.
And Bobby Moffitt, who I think had a really good win in his last UFC fight.
This season been shit. I mean, just see a lot of those guys too, like didn't even get contracts and got short notice calls and shit. Like,
I'll tell you, I think that kid Ode Osborne is quite good.
yeah.
He might be the best guy I've seen in terms of talent this season.
The
There's something
takedown late was kind of like, but
that
what he
sub-game is
did,
legit.
what he did after, I mean, there's flashes of guys like those first couple seasons. There was a lot of good,
It's not bad,
fighters.
and I mean, I guess
Yeah.
we shouldn't be expecting them to race into the top 15. You give them some time, so I guess that kind of has changed my view a little bit. They're a little bit better than I thought they were.
We're getting these on. This is a Tuesday night fucking quick fight card at the fucking UFC Apex or whatever the fuck they're calling it. I mean, I remember watching Tuesday night boxing and shit on USA and shit. I mean, that's what you put on there. You'd go get bodies, and if a dude impressed, he might move to the Friday night card and shit. So yeah, I mean, I get it, but to get those handful of names, man, we've had a lot of fucking just some horrible fighters too, man. It's like I said, that's just where we are with. There is no upper echelon of like MMA anymore. It's all it's all the same now. I mean, I remember when being on a UFC.
Do we think the talent's worse though? Or
No,
is it just that,
the talent is just good.
Defending's gotten better.
The
so
talent
I think,
as
I
it's
think
ever been.
that's the
That's
problem.
why.
There's not as many mismatches.
Exactly. That's why everybody is like Creator Fighter 1 fucking white guy against Creator Fighter 2 tan guy. Like they got the same skill set. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not always good in fucking fighting, man. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes it's good when you got a fucking Tank Abbott against a fucking jiu-jitsu guy or something. I mean, you need those kind of matchups and shit, man. No, the talent is as good as it's ever been. It gets better by the fucking month, but that's not always a good thing,
All right, let's do this. Let's go over last week's card. Sound good?
I'm just reading about something Cerrone's saying he has a fight lined up on short notice. I wonder who it could be.
That guy's nuts, man. Take some
Short
time.
notice.
Like, take a few months off, dude. You just got the shit beat out of you. Like,
And who else could it be on short? What's short notice for him?
A month?
A month?
I don't know. After that beating, when he's trying to fucking push air out of his eye hole, like he might want to.
Could it be Barbosa or Felder?
No, he's not fighting Felder.
Might fight Barboza.
Felder's his boy. Yeah, there ain't no way.
Could fight Barbosa. He's already beaten Barbosa. What about Justin Gaethje? That'd be great. He's not even scheduled. I don't know what's going on. Anyway. Yeah. So Sacramento card. Sacramento, interesting things happened. Right off the bat, we got something interesting in the first fight. Benito Lopez against Vince Morales. This decision was interesting.
Yikes.
I thought it might be a split decision for Morales because I thought there might be one crazy judge, but apparently there were 3 judges who gave it to Lopez. I thought Morales won 29-28. Like I said, I thought there might be one judge who saw it for Lopez. Very surprised we saw 3. You guys, your thoughts?
Yeah, shit. I bet Benito Lopez in that fight and thought he lost. Like that was pretty bad. It's crazy, man. It's the inconsistency. We say it over and over. Like some judges won't score a leg kick like anything happened, and these judges apparently thought the leg kicks that Lopez landed were just 10 times as good as all the fucking headshots that Morales was just crushing Lopez with. I don't get it, man. I like to score leg kicks higher than a lot of people, and that really didn't matter in this fight. It wasn't enough to give Benito Lopez that decision whatsoever, man. And I bet on the guy. I said after that fight they're gonna have to knock out the alpha male guys to win on this card, and you also couldn't get knocked out because apparently they went on and rolled anyway. So yeah, that was a horrible decision, man. And we say it every week. Oh, it seems like every week. One of the worst things about this sport. Just talked about how the talent is as high as it's ever been. Well, judging crazily is as bad as it's ever been.
None of the three judges had the same scorecard, and two of the judges gave Lopez the first round when he got dropped.
That's great.
I thought the third round was actually more in his favor.
Yeah, and two judges gave Lopez the third round.
Which doesn't make sense to me, because I thought the first round Lopez was leading most of it, other than the drop. I mean, I actually thought the third round was more decisive, but whatever. It's still a bad scorecard. Let's move on. And we should say Lopez is an alpha male fighter. Sacramento. So that's a little bit of a theme for the night.
It started off. Yeah.
Next bout up, we had Brianna Van Buren, who, quite frankly, I don't remember from Invicta, but I mean, since Invicta's become really watered down, I have not paid attention to their fight cards. She fought Livia Renata Souza, who at one point was one of the better fighters in this division.
Not anymore.
I don't know if it's a combination. I mean, she's only 28, so it's not an age or decline thing, but I think...
Did she have a kid?
I don't believe so, but I certainly believe this is... I think this is kind of a Claudia Gadella, Henan Barao type of situation, if that makes sense. Yeah, definitely tapering off the good old stuff, and there's something here with Van Buren right off the bat. I think it doesn't take much to see that she's going to do pretty darn good in this women's strawweight division West. I have a feeling you're thinking along the same lines.
Yeah, I mean her wrestling is legit. There's not going to be.
She throws heat too.
Yeah. I mean, just all around. She was really smart too in that fight. Just the fight IQ look there, which is very important now, man. It's just crazy how dumb some of these. Well, I guess it's not crazy. They get hit in the head.
It's not.
Yeah. But yeah, Susan, man, I don't know. Like you said, there were times in this fight, like I fucking tweeted that she would be standing there with her eyes completely closed for like seconds at a time. I don't know what the fuck was going on with her, but yeah, I don't know. Van Buren
visualization, Wes. Come on now.
Yeah,
that's what the good fighters do.
Van Buren looked good, man, but it's hard for me to get up for 115-pound women. Just next.
Yeah, next is fine. Don't really care about this fight.
Shit.
Jonathan Martinez taking out Pingwan Lee. Man, this guy, I mean, just when we were thinking that China MMA was on the rise, we see this nonsense. This guy, all he did was run around the cage until he got knocked out.
Did that weird like shoulder swivel and stuff like that. That was a weird fight. That was a beauty finish. Kind of came out of nowhere. Yeah. So I'm glad that Martinez ended that before we had to watch more of it. But yeah, not a great fight overall.
Well, I mean, when you're sitting on like a plus 200 on it though, and you get a finish like that, it was a pretty good fight.
Yep.
Man,
ugly. Talk about this fucking prick. This prick.
I had a weird feeling that Ryan Hall's going to win this bout.
Yep.
Because I had Elkins, my grades way higher. I mean, just based on history, his ability to actually win fights over good fighters. And then within the last 15, right when this Lou fight ended, I started thinking to myself, Elkins' best attribute is durability.
Nope.
Holdos gives two shits
Say
about
to yourself,
that.
did you ever think Ryan Hall, if somebody told you this went to a 3-round decision, would you have ever thought Ryan Hall would have got that decision over Darren Elkins?
Yeah, very unlikely.
No way.
Beating him in the striking.
The fact that Hall almost KO'd him,
dropping him
multiple times.
Prime
that one head kick was flush.
Hold up, but I want to touch on something that I saw today that fucking Luke Thomas put out, and talking about how Ryan Hall
I know you'd like that.
Is the best. His defense, his strike defense percentage is the best in the division, and he's the only guy. He doesn't fight it. He hasn't fought fucking anybody, and he's got him on a list. Comparing him to Max Holloway and all this shit. It might be the dumbest fucking video that I've ever fucking watched.
I quite enjoyed it, Wes. It was hilarious because I thought of you the whole time. And I mean, if you look at it specifically like a normal fighter, then yeah, you're going to say he hasn't fought anybody. He straight up doesn't get hit. I mean, the way he does it is very...
rolling on the floor.
To put it nicely, unconventional, but yeah, I mean, he just throws and then he just butt scoots or falls to the ground or whatever. But I mean, in this fight, it fucking worked. I mean, he dropped Darren Elkins twice, rocked him more than twice. I don't know how long this is gonna last. I also don't know who's gonna want to fight this dude, because it's really hard to look good against him, because anytime he gets close to you, either he's just going to fall to the floor trying to grab your legs, or he's going to be 30 feet away from you just kind of getting ready to strike. So I quite enjoyed this fight because I had no money on it, and I knew you'd be losing your mind, and I knew Lance would be losing his mind, and it was fucking glorious.
This motherfucker at one point dropped to his back and started doing a bicycle kick. I lost it, dude. Seriously.
He's got to keep warm, man. You got to keep those leg muscles warm. He's
look, hey, Volkanovski, heal up, fuck a title shot. Just come over here and take care of Ryan Hall for me. Could you imagine the nasty things that Volkanovski would do to this man? Seriously.
He might not be able to, because Hall will just lay on the ground and it'll be the worst fight ever.
God, I just can't stand
it. At least, hey.
It's 50-50 with this guy. I'll give him mad. He's at least got motherfuckers either, man, I love to watch that shit, or goddamn, I hate that dude. That's all you can ask for. That's all you can ask for, man.
He almost spinning heel kicked fucking a guy unconscious, and this guy is a jiu-jitsu guy.
I know, and I'm over hating and shit like a motherfucker.
It's hilarious, but I totally understand why. I mean, it's just something that we don't see, and usually the guys that do that, Imanari roll and butt scoot and shit like that, they don't last very long in the UFC. But if he keeps winning, I mean, what are you gonna do? He's good
though, man. He did well on Tough and shit. The guy's very skilled, dude, and then like you said, that him landing head kicks and shit on Darren Elkins is impressive, man. I give it
especially a flush one. He had him dead. I don't know how he didn't KO.
If the dude would fucking break dance a little less, I might like him a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Ain't gonna happen. That's his striking defense. Fucking dropping to the ground and fucking waiting, and nobody's gonna go to the ground with him, because that's his territory. So then everybody backs away, and then he doesn't have to worry about getting punched in the head.
What's crazy is Darren Elkins had his most successful small amount of time in that fight when he wound up on top of Ryan Hall.
Yep.
When he was on top of him for the short amounts of time before he was so scared he had to get back up, he would drop an elbow or two and they would land, and then he'd get up immediately, which, I mean, you got to look, somebody that's got some decent striking and is heavy on top is going to cause this guy a lot of problems. I mean, it's going to happen, dude.
Why, you don't think Artem has good striking offense? Come on, man.
That man beat an ex fucking boxing champion. You might want to watch.
That's right. Oh, glorious Ryan Hall. Can't wait to see
We
him fight
gave
again.
Ryan Hall. We gave
Can't
Ryan
wait
way
to
too
rile
much
up everyone. It's going to be amazing. Probably won't be for another 6 months or something because he never fights because nobody wants to fight him, but whatever.
And that little fucking what did I do? Look, he does after fights makes me want to strangle that motherfucker.
Yep.
Like,
it makes me laugh because I know your blood pressure's rising.
Oh boy.
Now to more sadness.
Oh God.
Yeah. This fight was Mom quit. Actually turned woke up.
Mom resurgence.
There was a mom
double-
resurgence
think
against
they're
the
mom-
Navajo Nation fighter. Could someone tell me what a Navajo Nation uniform looks like? Because it looked like just a white uniform with a patch on it.
It just had the flag on it, didn't it?
They made this big to do about this thing, and then there was nothing there.
It was kind of like a dress almost. Like she had shorts on, but like a dress kind of hanging in the front and the back. I think that's what they was talking about.
I don't know. I thought it was a patch or something.
Exactly. No one knew. That was the whole point. They made a big to do about what this was. They didn't fucking explain it. Either way, I don't think Montano wants to fight anymore.
Nah.
She's
not after that first round.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, she did pretty well. Like she was smart. She had the advantage against the cage against Pena, but she doesn't do any real damage. And once Pena got her on the ground, the elbow opened her up. It was a much different fight. Pena seemed to wake up, and that was the difference. I think Pena will be decent moving forward. I think she just kind of. I think I'm not going to say she's going to challenge for anything again, but I think she'll be in the UFC for a bit of time. I think
it's a decent warm-up fight coming off of pregnancy.
Yeah. It's not easy just because of Montano's style, but I think Pena had the ring rust, had the she got over those kind of demons, and she got the W, and she'll move on from the experience.
Just insane that these two are in the same division as fucking Amanda Nunes.
She got Pena got trucked in the first round, trucked. And then in the second round, she got on top in the second round because of a massive cage grab and literally flipped Montano over with a cage grab. I'd slow down on her being any good. Fucking Montano.
Well, this is very relative, Wes. Let's be honest.
Yeah, in the division. This is relative to the top 15 of women's bantamweight.
I get it. I get it, but I'm just saying they both fucking suck, and Montano was winning the fucking fight before that cage grab. So, yeah.
Yeah. Let's move on
to more exciting things.
Yeah, let's move on. Exactly. This one I did see coming, but I didn't think it was going to be as emphatic as it was. As soon as Andre Fili, I saw him walk out to the cage and how jacked up he was. I mean, he seems like a guy who would rise to that occasion just by fighting in front of all the people he knows, and he really did. And man, he steamrolled Shaman Rice here. Andre Fili's striking was excellent, and he's really kind of a fringe guy. Outside the top 15 in this weight class, I think that's kind of where he belongs, kind of in that 12 to 18 part of the division. Really good win for him, Wes.
Yeah, I was very impressed. I've been really high on Shaman for a while, but especially on the feet, that guy's really, really good, man. I think Fili's turned a corner. He might be the He might be the best thing coming out of Team Alpha Male right now, honestly. He's gotten really good, man, with his length and stuff like that. His striking has definitely gotten way better. I thought him winning this fight, it would be something more on the mat, him controlling on top and stuff, maybe getting a sub. But to take out Moraes like that is very, very impressive. I've been high on that guy for a few years now. Yeah, I'm very impressed by Fili. I know maybe fringe 15, but that's a tough matchup, man, for a lot of guys right around that top 10. Just the length, if his striking is going to look like that, we know what he can do on the mat. That's a scary guy, man. I don't. I guess he's never going to leave Team Alpha Male or anything, but I don't know if you're necessarily getting the best training to ever be like some kind of title contender. If you're training at Team Alpha Male, maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, still very, very impressive. And I think he's a tough out for guys in that division around the top 10 or so.
Nushan, any thoughts on this bout?
Just really impressed, especially with a guy as durable as Shaman Morais. For him just to land that insane combination and finish it off was awesome. Just think, this guy lost. I mean, I don't think most people think he lost, but he lost a split decision to Michael Johnson in 2018. A guy that's just like terrible. And now he's knocking out Shaman Morais. And he beat Miles Jury. Yeah, Morais never been knocked out. Beat a guy like Miles Jury. It's impressive. Hopefully he can continue. I know he's still fairly young, right? I mean, he's only, what is he, 20? He's getting up there. He's 29, so hopefully he's kind of hitting a streak now and continue to get better and stuff like that. But yeah, don't like that he's at Alpha Male, but impressive win.
Yeah, that's fair. Whatever. Next fight, I mean, I don't know what to say, but man, we were just talking about Contender Series guys. Mike Rodriguez. He seems like a guy who, if he doesn't get the finish in the first 2 to 3 minutes, he burns out and he doesn't really have much else to answer with. This was poor. John Allen just wins by durability. Unanimous decision across the board as the biggest underdog on the card. Wes, any thoughts here, or should we move on to the main card?
Just Mike Rodriguez is fucking. We say
Terrible.
talk about fight IQ too, though. I mean, the guy kept like putting himself in the clinch with a guy that wanted to clinch. Anytime he was at space and distance, he was fucking teeing off on him, and dude would run in and clinch with him like after 30 seconds. Like, Mike Rodriguez is fucking stupid.
On to the main card.
And he's terrible.
He's small terrible. There are worse
small
guys,
terrible.
He's pretty terrible. Yeah. Consensus bet. No bueno this week. Marvin Vittori didn't even need to do that much against Cesar Ferreira. 30-27 across the board. It was a bloody mess at the end of it, though. Nushan, I'll let you explain what happened here.
I know, watching Wes's after show, I don't think he was as impressed with Vittori as I was. I think it was just a combination of just being the younger, fresher, stronger fighter. He was able to just kind of power through, and Mutanch wasn't able to get that takedown. And if he's in a striking contest with a guy that's a decent striker, that's going to be a problem. Was surprised that Vittori was able to take Mutanch down in the first, and then was somewhat impressed with his takedown defense the rest of the way. What that actually means in the middleweight division, it's tough to say. Maybe this is just where Mutanch falls off a cliff. I don't know, but fairly impressive. Pretty easy win for Vittori.
Yeah, Cesar. The crazy thing about him is his fucking chin now is just almost fucking bonkers. Legendary. Like, the bet against him used to be for like 2 years was like him getting knocked out in the first round, and now the dude can like just take a beating. With Vittori, looks like he's kind of getting kind of bulk, you know what I'm saying, and kind of he looks slow and plodding, you know, and there's some very, very long athletic guys at 185 now, and I just think that could be a little bit of a problem, but. I mean, the guy's 25, man. He trains at King's, which is, you rarely see guys from fucking over there come over here and, you know what I'm saying, get out of their comfort zone and go to a real gym in the States. And that guy did it. So, you know, the dedication's there. And like I said, 25 years old and kind of a top heavy division, but one that's getting pretty good in 185. I mean, I'm intrigued. I don't know. He just kind of like, just the plotting, but maybe he wasn't worried about Ferreira, you know, moving on him and using slick boxing and shit. So, I'm intrigued going forward. He's 25 years old in a kind of shallow division.
Carl Roberson taking on something called Wellington Turman.
The winner is
bullshit.
This is kind of like the Alan Rodriguez fight a little bit.
Yeah,
The more talented fighter, struggled. Got his hand raised here, but man, this definitely his stock went down a bit after this one. Wes, I'll let you kind of lead.
They robbed that kid, man. Like seriously, you don't like. There's few times that like everybody lines up on Twitter, the media, and everybody scored this fight for fucking Turman, man. Every fucking body. That was a bad decision, man. I did bet Turman, but it wasn't just me, man. That was a horrible decision. And I mean, Roberson's he's talented, man, but that guy can't still. He's got problems on the mat, dude. There's a easy path to victory against Carl Roberson, and there's a lot of guys that can get a fight there. So, yeah, this card had some really bad decisions, man, on it, and this was definitely one of them.
Yeah, we talked last week about how Roberson likes to get taken down and choked out, and I was kind of hemming and hawing about taking Turman by sub. I didn't end up taking it, and fuck, it was close a couple times. I was going to be kicking myself if he locked that in. I thought Turman won fairly easy, 29-28, getting the last two rounds, but I guess the judges disagree. What are you going to do? That's the state of fucking judging and reffing in the UFC and MMA in 2019.
I'll tell you guys this: you were probably shocked that I was going to go against my boy Mirsad Bektic on last week's show. Not only did I think that he was going to get knocked out, he did get knocked out. Sad times. Chin just not there. Real issue for him. He's never going to be the fighter that I thought he could be. Wes, tell me about this. Am I missing something here with Bektic?
No, it's over. It's over for Bektic. Like he's not fighting close to the level of top 10, top 15. It's crazy. I mean, he got dropped clean with a fucking jab. I mean, I know Emmett throws fucking.
He throws heat.
It was a solid jab. He was kind of coming in on it, and it was a solid jab, but it was still a jab.
You can't get dropped at 145 off of fucking straight jabs like that. It just, if your chin is that shaky at 145, you're taking hits at 145. You're gonna get hit. It's gonna happen. His chin's gone. I don't even know if he ever had one. I think it was just disguised with his fucking unbelievable wrestling and his fucking skills that he had. Yeah, I think maybe I undersold Emmett a little bit here, but I just didn't think Bektic his jaw was just completely shit, and it is. He's done. I don't know what you do with him, man. I mean, you're just gonna have him fight fringe top 15 guys, top 20 guys. I don't know, man. That guy had so much hype. I mean, he was literally. I mean, me and you, Jay, talked about that guy contending for a title just a couple years ago, and that's the fight game, man. You can't teach a jaw. It's crazy. That's why this sport is so fucking crazy and unpredictable. You cannot teach having a jaw, and they can go, even when you do have one, they can go at any fucking time. So, Bektic is done competing at any kind of high level in MMA.
He should have wrestled here. I don't know what the fuck he was doing. A guy that Emmett does have power. We know that. Yeah. Bektic should have been trying to wall install and wrestle his ass off, but instead he decided to fight at range, and look what happened. So that is not good. Yeah, he's gonna struggle unless he just basically goes into all wrestling mode, and he can still get caught.
But that has got to be his game plans going forward. Do not strike at all with anybody that has any sort of power.
At 145, that it's just
that's craziness. You need to be able
to
to mix it up on the feet, and it
Yep.
doesn't seem like that's a thing with him. It's that's unfortunate.
Co-main event time. This one I kind of suggested as well. Watch out for Faber. On the return, Ricky Simone is nothing special, and
he still rocked Faber.
And he still had Faber fucking hurt in 30 seconds.
Yep.
But then he landed a haymaker, and Faber
stop.
was definitely not letting him up. There. Let's call it that. It might have been over anyway. We don't know that, guys.
I don't know, man.
That wasn't over.
Fuck me. This is crazy. Like, I know it's in Sacramento. This is his comeback fight, but fuck me, that's a quick stoppage. That is
bad.
Not good. Let him go out, man. That's like, I understand, like, we were worried about fucking brain damage and shit like that, but you're in the UFC. You're a co-main event. If you're in the co-main event, there should be no doubt about finishes. And like, I know there's been some fights where guys have gone on way too long, but there's a happy medium.
This wasn't even like.
It wasn't even close.
Yeah, this wasn't even close. The guy had a leg. The guy had done turned over and had a leg in his arms. You know what I'm saying? That's like egregious.
It's crazy. And like, Ricky Simone's like 26 years old. Like, come on, like, give him a shot. It was poor. It was poor strategy. After he rocked Faber, he should have known that he was just going to throw a hammer. So you got to be a little more cautious when it's a wounded animal, but still, that is piss poor reffing right there. Let him get one or two more shots in to make sure there's no doubt that Simon's not there anymore.
I mean, Faber was probably hurt worse than Simon was in that. Like, Faber got buzzed. Like you said, he came back. You got to be careful with a wounded guy, but that was a bad stoppage, man. Like, he had done turned over kind of on his side and had a leg hooked. You know, he's not like hurt that bad if he's like, you at least got to let him take another one.
He was not limp whatsoever.
No, he was already turtling up and grabbing a leg. If he's got a leg going for a leg, you know he's still in the fight. He's definitely protecting himself. That was a bad stoppage, man. I mean, props to Faber for landing one. I mean, he got one, but I don't see how there's any arguing that was the right stoppage, man. We'll talk about the next fight and its stoppage, but this one was way worse than the one and the next one. And I thought that was a bad stoppage too, but this stoppage was fucking way beyond that. There's just no way you can stop. Like you said, a co-main event, the second fight on the card. If a dude goes down and is literally turned over on his side working for a leg, I don't get it, man. I really don't. I don't even know if Faber even landed another follow-up shot. I think he buzzed past him too. That's bad, man. It just, this card was a fucking shit show with cage grabs and bad decisions and early stoppages. The
trifecta. The peak MMA trifecta right there.
It was bad, man. It like condensed on one single card. It's up there for it's bad as, just so much slimy shit going on, man. It was crazy.
And I guess the one positive is we can fade Faber when he goes up against another guy, because there's no way he wins his next fight.
And all the imagine all the others
fighting.
The other 40-year-old dudes that retired from, like, man, Faber just knocked out him, dog.
No.
That shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
The damage has been done.
Shit's wild.
Yeah. Wes, let's continue with your rant. Moving to the main event and early stoppages. Jermaine Duraname, 16-second TKO?
Ooh. Yeah,
what happened here?
I liked it. I had some plus 150 there. But man, come on, dude. This one wasn't as bad as the Faber one to me. just because Lad got like legit fucking stunned. And I could see the angle. Was it Herb in that one too?
Herb was in the main event.
Yeah, it's always that motherfucker. But his angle was bad. He was behind fucking Lad, and then when I think he thought that follow-up shot landed too. So I can almost, kind of give him a little pass, but it was still bad. It was a horrible fucking stoppage. Lad wasn't out of it or anything. But I get it. That's why I put it. I don't think it was as bad as the Faber stoppage, but I mean, Duranda May landed one, man. I don't want to go in and say like the horrible weight cut had anything to do with her getting dropped or anything, but
might have had something to do with the stoppage.
I mean, how many times have we seen where guys' chins get better when they move up and can get worse when they drain themselves and go down and have bad cuts? So, still, great shot by Durandaway, man, and at plus 150. Yeah, I'm glad I got a hold of it. I think she closed it like right around even money. I think that still made like 15 out of 17. Main events that the dog or even money fighter has won.
That's a lot.
Yeah, 15 out of 17 or something like that. It's insane.
Is John Jones the only one who has been victorious?
Yep. Yeah, I think so. Well, his 2 wins. I think there might be one other one. I think it might be like 15 of 18 or some shit like that, or 14 of 17.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I don't know if Herb Dean saw the weigh-ins and extra protected. It didn't look great. She got spun around, so she was on all fours. But I mean, that doesn't mean shit, man. She was still there.
Yeah.
The second punch that Duranda May threw missed her, kind of hit Ladd in the boob and spun her around. As soon as they called the fight off, Aspen Ladd was up and fine. Like fuck me, but. It is what it is. I'm sure. I don't know if it would have made a difference. Probably not. But that's still. It's not a good precedent. That's for sure. Because these are 2 fights that we don't really give a fuck about. Just imagine if this was a fight for a title or just a really high profile fight and this shit happened. Just that is a not a good precedent.
I mean, look what Herb did with the Askren and Lawler fight, a high profile fight and a bad stoppage, and there was some fucking outrage,
Yeah, we've been banging that gong for a while. I think people are starting to follow us and catch on, but we've known for a while that Herb Dean is way past his prime and definitely needs to be put down lower on these cards. And some other refs need to be elevated because he's had some piss poor decisions in a lot of fights recently.
There needs to be a tribunal that.
They should have to answer, man.
I know in Italian soccer they like regularly post, maybe even weekly. I'm not sure it's weekly or monthly. They have referee ratings. And the higher up you are, the bigger the matches that you get. I mean, this sport needs something like that.
I mean, they do.
Never happened though, because it's the government.
They do it in the EPL. I mean, they literally in the Premier League sit down with they have a conference of their refs every week, and the best ones get the main assignments and shit.
This is public forum, I'm saying, but
I get what you're saying too. Yeah, I mean, it's like that in fucking college basketball. Even as bad as those fucks are, they at least put the least bad ones.
Kentucky always gets the calls. What are you talking about?
I don't know about that.
There you go.
I don't know about that. We ain't Duke. We ain't Duke now.
But yeah, it's bad. I mean, how many times has Herb screwed up a high-profile fight? Not that this is a high-profile fight, but it's happened too many times.
But he goes from quick stoppage like that to sometimes he'll let a dude sit there and they eat fucking 50 unanswered unconscious.
Die in there.
Like at least I think boxing kind of has it right where they're preventative in their stoppages. They stop fights early the majority of the time versus the alternative and having them go longer. I think people want more stoppages in fights, so I'm kind of okay with that. I mean, the whole live another day thing is fine. It's a more entertaining card. Maybe MMA should have earlier stoppages moving forward. It would preserve a lot of fighters. There'd be less damage and there'd be less injuries.
A lot. I think in MMA though, there's always a chance. You know what I'm saying? Like in MMA, there's always a chance to land that one punch, to grab an arm.
Yeah, but at what cost though?
I mean, I don't know.
I mean, that's why we don't see corners throwing the towel, because these guys are paid so poorly, and there's always that 1% or 0.1% chance, so you can throw a Hail Mary punch or whatever and land. So it's a lot tougher to do in MMA, I think.
There's got to be a happy medium though between like stopping the Faber fight or the lad fight to a dude literally getting his fucking years taken off his life. I mean, there's got to be a medium. They're like, I don't think Herb stops like that main event if it was say a John Jones fight or something. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, like maybe the weight cut, he had seen that and kind of. I don't think if it's a bigger fight that he's going to stop a fight like that. I think he's going to let somebody take a little bit more, which isn't good either. It's got to be fucking way more consistent. That's the main problem. These fuckers are so
blasphemy. They'll never get consistency. It's MMA.
Not in this, man. Not in this.
That does it for last week's show. We'll talk about this week's show. Headed down to the home of the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, San Antonio, Texas, for UFC. Oh, it's an ESPN card. I didn't even know that. Okay.
Yeah, it's a big ESPN card, yeah.
I'm not sure it matters, but it's a pretty. That's a pretty darn good main card. All relevant fights. So we'll start it off with a non-relevant fight. Something called Felipe Colare is going to be a punching bag for Domingo Pilarte. Wes, any thoughts on this bout?
Yeah, not a lot, man. Just Pilarte's a rightful favorite, man. He's pretty good, and Corrales fucking is not very good at all. The little bit I've seen of him, and Pilarte's going to win.
Nushan, anything here?
Not too much. Kind of a weird matchup with Colares coming off a loss and Pilarte coming off a win. I don't know if I guess this is kind of the matchup, so it's kind of a weird one. Only thing you worry about with Pilarte is this guy does not fight very much. He's fought once every year going back to 2016 or 2015. Is the last time he had multiple fights in a year, so that's the only thing you worry about. Definitely the pick here because he's much better.
Yeah, especially considering that Pilarte is the better fighter and he's coming off a win. He's facing the worst fighter, Colares, coming off a loss. I got Colares an F, Pilarte a D. Pilarte holds a win over Vince Morales, who should have beaten Benito Lopez. The caliber of talent there is of that win alone is way better than what Colares is. This is a victory. Pilarte's, I think, is the biggest favorite on the card, and rightfully so. He's facing a can. Let's move up. Just a couple more rather unknown fights before we move into the meat of this card. We got something called Mario Bautista taking on the guy that got in a firefight with Peter Yan, Jinsu's son. Wes?
Yeah, son, that was just a fun fight with Yan, but
it was.
Like most Peter Yan just plays with his food a little bit and puts the heat on you. I don't see how you're laying that kind of line on him in this fight. I think Batista's kind of tough, man. I know he got subbed pretty quick by Sandhagen, but we know how good Sandhagen is too. Yeah, this is a tough fight for me to even pick, but there's no way I'd be laying 2-1 on Son. Dog or pass for me. I'll probably pick Batista and Topmaster.
Nushan.
Yeah, I think this line on Son is too long. I think because he was able to make it to a decision, and I mean he did show really good toughness in that Peter Yan fight, but that's about it. Like he was he was able to hit Peter Yan a bit because of just how tough he was, not because he's that good of a striker. I don't think this is going to be a firefight. I think Bautista is going to look to wrestle, and Son's kind of unproven in that area. Before the UFC, he beat up a lot of old guys in Asia. So we're gonna see if the pup from the lab can wrestle and make Son tired.
Shit.
Coming over from Asia, and I took Bautista for 1 unit at plus 176.
Talking about wrestling. I got Son a C-, Bautista a D-. I like what I saw from Son. He certainly is can take a punch. He's willing to throw heat. He'll stay in the pocket. We'll see what happens, but I think he's much better than Bautista. He gets the win here. Ray Borg now, hopefully, returning, fighting at bantamweight, coming off that loss. We'll see how he does against Gabriel Silva. Wes, any thoughts here?
Yeah, just I think Ray Borg might be a little bit overlooked here, honestly. I know he didn't perform great last time out against Kenny, but that was like his first fight in a couple years, I believe. All the shit with his kid and everything, and I think if Ray Borg is up for this fight, he rolls this Brazilian cat, man. I can't see how Ray Borg's wrestling just doesn't let him put this fight wherever he wants it, and I think Ray Borg can get a pretty easy decision here, honestly, man. I'm a little surprised by the line. I know it's over 2-1 now, but man, I mean, Ray Borg before his last fight, maybe for all the bullshit, he'd be minus 500 against this guy. No bullshit. So, I mean, I got to use Ray Borg here some way or another. Nothing big or anything. But got to think his second fight back off of that long layoff and all the stuff with his son, he's going to be primed and ready to go for this. I think if he is, he trucks this Brazilian dude.
Okay. Nushan.
Yeah, obviously pretty surprised that Borg lost his last fight. Big layoff going into that fight, and maybe a little bit of the title hangover that we see sometimes. But I guess Casey Kenny isn't he's better than what we expected. Don't know too much about this Gabriel Silva guy, but I'll take Borg, but no bet. Just want to see more what the Silva has. It was impressive in his LFA fight, but it's a bit different story in the UFC.
That's true. Give you that. I have Ray Borg at B and no grade for Silva yet. It's hard to imagine a new fighter, kind of really coming in and being able to contend with Borg, who's one of the better fighters in this weight class. I know he was going through some things in his last fight, which I think definitely took away from his ability to get a result. Should be much better focused for this bout. Now we're moving up to kind of the known fighter portion of the card. We got everybody's favorite flyweight, Roxanne Modafferi versus friend of the J-analysis, Jennifer Maia. Wes.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I can rarely get a fucking Roxanne fight right.
Roxanne.
Probably one of her biggest wins she's had in 7-8 years last time out, I guess. I don't know what the line was. I think she was a pretty sizable underdog, if I'm remembering right. But I just don't know here, man. I know they fought a couple years ago in Invicta, and I believe Maya won a decision against her. I mean, Roxy has gotten a little bit better, I guess, over the past couple years, but man, I have no idea here. I'll probably pick Roxanne and Tout Master since she's plus money, but yeah, no money on this fight for me.
Dushan?
Modafferi closed plus 270 in that win against the shitty Shevchenko. Yeah, I have no clue in this fight. Don't really care. Didn't even take Go's decision.
Ooh.
It's just gonna just not. I'm just gonna, think that just didn't even happen.
Fair enough. This one I got Maya C, Modafferi C. I think this is going to be a competitive bout, but I think Modafferi is going to struggle to get this fight to the ground. On the feet, Maya is way more powerful. I mean, it's not even close. I think Modafferi could struggle. She has to contend with Maya at all for any decent portions of this fight. I mean, there could be a takedown at some point, but I expect Maya to really do the damage on the feet and get the result just by landing the more impactful strikes. This is not a lock by any standard because it's mid-level women's flyweight and Mookie things happen. Now we got the return of smiling Sam Alvey. I don't think he's a friend of the MMA analysis. Taking on Klidson Abreu. Wes, are we really going to see Alvey get back in the winning column?
I don't know. Alvey buys tout picks, so maybe he can pay somebody to tell him if he's gonna win or not. Abreu, I kind of liked him coming into his last fight. I picked against him, but thought it was be a pretty good fight. I think that's the fight he got his nose just absolutely turned sideways. Man, Alvey's just his past few. I mean, a split decision against fucking Vellante and getting fucking knocked out by Little Nog, and then that last one was really bad. I think Sam might be on a serious decline here, but just don't know what Abreu is yet, man. Had a little hype, like I said, coming into his last fight against Ankalev and got fucked up. So I'm gonna pick Abreu here, but I'm just gonna sit back and watch this one and see what happens. But man, there's no way I would touch Alvey anymore with my money. He was a good bet at some nice dog odds against guys when he first got to the UFC, but I think that might be long gone.
Okay. Dushan.
Alvey might be a little bit safer from getting KO'd in this fight because Abreu definitely is more of a jiu-jitsu guy. But he was still kind of throwing some heat in that Ankalaev fight. He didn't land much, but definitely seemed like he could throw it. So Alvey will still have to be careful. I like Wes. I have no clue what Sam Alvey is at this point. He used to just rely on his toughness. Never was a very active puncher. He would just kind of wait and land a shot, and that doesn't really work anymore when you get knocked out before that happens. So I'll pick Abreu, but no real edge in this fight. A lot of unknowns.
Okay. I got Alvey D, Abreu a D minus. Man, it's hard to. This is gonna be kind of a slow fight. I mean, Alvey does a decent amount with his quick burst, but those quick bursts happen like once or twice around, so it's really tough to bet him as a fighter. But I do lean him. I think he's more experienced. I think there's just more likelihood that he does get the W, but this is not a fight I want to have my money on. Moving up, this one should be decent. We got Irene Aldana taking on Rocky Pennington, trying to get off the schneid. West.
Yeah, this is actually a women's fight where I actually like a side a little bit. I'm gonna be on Rocky in this fight, man. I don't think much of Aldana whatsoever, man. I know she ended up taking out Betch in the last one, but I mean, there was a couple times in that fight where she was taking some hands from her, and I mean, this is just a massive step down for Pennington in this fight, coming off Amanda Nunes and then GDR, which we saw she's still a really good fighter, man. So. Man, at plus money here, I like to say when we bet horses, the class drop. She's fighting somebody way down the scale. I'll take the plus money. I grabbed some Pennington at, I believe, around plus 130. She's still like plus 120, I believe. I think she can keep this on the feet and piece Aldana up. So I like her quite a bit here, plus 120. I'll take some of that.
That's fair, Nushan.
Yeah, surprised by this line a bit too. I don't really understand the Aldana love. That was a close fight with Betchkaya.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about?
I bet it. Bet there.
I know. I'm pretty sure she was a consensus. We bet Kohea in that fight, and it was actually kind of close.
It was kind of close. She won the second round.
Yeah, I mean the one judge. I think we were fucked anyway because the judge, one of the judges,
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
didn't even give Kohea a round, but not looking impressive against Betchkaya is not a good look. Pennington looked okay in the GDR fight. I really don't like betting sides in ladies fights. And I'm trying to be a little more selective, but that number is looking kind of nice, but I'll wait to see if it goes up and then possibly take a shot on Pennington.
I think you kind of have to here though.
Yeah.
I got Pennington a C+ and Aldana a C-. Pennington's just a way more crafty fighter than Aldana's used to fighting. I mean, Pennington's not a brawler like Betch Correa is. She fights a way more calculated, has submission ability, has certainly contended and fought with some of the best fighters in the history of the best female fighters of all time. So, I mean, there's a lot of reasons to like Pennington here versus Aldana. I mean, Aldana is more of a brawler herself, and she excels in that, but I think Pennington's going to outsmart her here. And IQ is a big part of this. I'll take Pennington with the dog money. This fight, I think, should be flipped. Alex Caceres taking on Steven Peterson. Wes?
I think the real question coming into this fight is, did Caceres getting just obliterated and choked out so bad by Kron turn him into a flat earther? Like that's the real angle of this fight, right? Man, this is another fight that I kind of like the slight dog in this fight, man. Caceres just, I don't think the guy's that good, man. I've bet him a few times in the past, man, and he just doesn't perform, man. I mean, he has bad outs even against guys that he should beat. He loses close decisions. You know what you're gonna get out of Steve Peterson, man. That dude is a tough out. He's gonna come forward. He's gonna put the pressure on Caceres, and Caceres does not fight well against pressure, man. I like Steve Peterson in the spot, and at plus 130, this is another slight dog that I think is worth a little shot here. So I'm gonna take some Steve Peterson.
Okay, and Nushan.
Yeah, this is another tough one that I kind of want to play. Caceres shows flashes of good stuff, but man, does he shit away fights.
He's dumb, man.
he just makes bad decisions, and even fights that he's won, he's made them way closer than they need to be. I know Steven Peterson isn't that great of a fighter, but like Wes said, we know what we're going to get with him. We're going to get forward pressure and toughness and just being active, and I don't think that is going to do. I think Caceres is going to kind of fold to that. So I like Peterson in this fight. This is another one of those ones where I think I'm going to have to take a shot. I haven't yet, but likely going to.
Okay. I got Peterson a D, Caceres a D as well. Tough fight to call for me. I think Caceres certainly is the more skilled fighter. But Peterson's work rate, he turns it up as the fight goes on. I think that's dangerous. Yep. Yeah, can win fights, especially against a guy who's not very good or fading in his own right.
Although I could see Caceres dropping him early in this bout and getting up big and then kind of having to hold on. I think this is tough, but I mean, if you have to pick, I think you take the dog. I think that's the only way to look at this bout. Moving up to the main card, we got kind of a heavyweight throwback
Let's
here.
get wild.
Everybody's favorite Belarusian actor, Andrei Arlovsky, taking on the one, the only Mr. Milkshake, Ben Rothwell. Wes. Ben Rothwell wins this fight, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're talking about a fight in 2019. You got a 40-year-old heavyweight that's like, I'm trying to look at this. I had it written down somewhere, but Arlovsky's like 2 out of his last 12 or some shit. 2 out of his last 10. It's crazy, man. 40 years old.
Beat Diaper Boy.
Yeah, and he beat Stefan Struve. That is his 2 wins in his last 10 fights.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy, dude. Out of his last 10. I mean, I know Rothwell's 37, but Rothwell's probably like, a younger 37 in heavyweight MMA because he hasn't really taken a lot of damage over the past 5 or 6 years. Arlovsky's taken a ton of damage, man. I think this fight might end up being really, really sloppy and really ugly, really slow at times. But yeah, I think Rothwell is going to get a decision here, and I'm probably going to have to play him small in a parlay with something. He's dropped under 2-1 now, so yeah, I'll probably take something small. But I was one to look at some fatties, but they have fight goes the distance up at even money, and that's just a little shaky. I mean, I can't trust Arlovsky's chin that much to think this definitely makes it to a decision at some even money. I was thinking over it was going to be over 2.5 at some nice plus money, and I'm way off on that. So even though I do think this probably gets over 2.5 rounds more often than not, there's no way I can lay even money on fight goes to the decision. But yeah, I like Rothwell. I think he should win just a ugly fight.
Dushan.
The rematch we all wanted, 11 years and a day.
Jesus, really?
First
11?
fight, yeah.
Holy shit.
Affliction Band, July 19th, 2008.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah,
right.
Wild times, 11 years. That's crazy. I don't know how you can bet Andrei Arlovsky. Like Wes said, he's 2-8 in his last 10, and even losing to guys that now we know that aren't that good. I mean, he lost to Tuivasa, Abdurakhimov, Sakai. Like, that is bad. I know Rothwell didn't look great his last out. That was a pretty terrible fight against Ivanov. But before that, he rattled off like a pretty good win streak. He beat Vera, Overeem, Mitrione, and Barnett, and then obviously lost to JDS and then Ivanov. I don't like touching these kind of heavyweight fights where they're old and who knows what the fuck's gonna happen. The pick is definitely Rothwell. I just don't want to bet on a 37-year-old heavyweight in 2019 that's this shitty. Even if he's fighting a corpse that is Andrei Arlovsky.
Yeah, I got Rothwell C+, Arlovsky a D. This is just a big advantage here for Ben Rothwell. He's got more punching power. He's just as durable, and he has the submission game as well. And I think he's more active. I just find this to be a tough fight for Arlovsky to get the W in. I'll take Rothwell. Let's move up, which should be a way more entertaining fight. We got Alexander Hernandez taking on Grandpa Trinaldo. Wes?
Yeah, I like me some old Grandpa, man. That dude's made me some. I think he's made all of us some decent money over
Not this fight.
Nah, man, I can't see it here. I do think that Trinaldo is going to be a nice little tough test for Hernandez here, but he probably needs a decent, middle of the road type of tough test. But he needs a win, and I think after that Cowboy loss, I think he's going to be really focused here, man. He was probably feeling himself going against Cowboy. I mean, you could tell in some of those press conferences that he really thought he was going to just completely walk through Cowboy, and he had to have been humbled by that, man. So if Fernandez is on, he should definitely beat Trinaldo, man. Trinaldo's that dude's getting kind of old, man. He's had a lot of fights now. So younger, fresher guy, man, coming off that loss, which I think is a good loss, not a bad loss that some guys have on getting beat like that. I know he got knocked out, but it wasn't like he was, completely knocked out cold or anything. So I don't think that's a problem either. So yeah, I think Hernandez wins this fight, and I think he was a little bit better odds. He got down to like -150 or something. I missed that. I would have definitely played that. I'd like to see something like that again, but I don't know if we'll get there. But Trinaldo seems to be a very, very popular bet. So maybe he does take some money and we see a -150 again on Hernandez. If we do, I'm definitely going to take some of that.
New Sean?
It pains me to do it. I hate going against the grandpa, but that's what I did here. I was able to get -145 for just over a unit and a half.
Nice.
Yeah, it's I just think Hernandez's pressure and his wrestling is going to tire out Trinaldo. Grandpa Trinaldo has shown some pretty good takedown defense, but I think Hernandez is good enough to get it to the ground. And getting that guy to work, I think, is a big thing to do, important thing to do. And if you can get him tired, then the stand up is going to be a lot slower coming at you, and you'll be a lot safer if it does get back on the feet. So like Wes, I think Hernandez is going to have a big bounce back fight after that Cerrone fight. It is a little sketchy that he did get finished there. Hope took a bit of damage, but hopefully it wasn't too much. I just think just being their younger, fresher fighter, the wrestling, I think, is going to be a big advantage for Hernandez. And I think he might even finish Trinaldo with like a sub or something. So yeah, sad to go against the grandpa, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yep.
Hernandez C+, Trinaldo a C. I'm with these guys. I think Hernandez rolls here. He's way more younger, way more athletic, hits probably harder than Trinaldo. Just doesn't want to get taken down and kind of held there. But we've seen he could take some damage. And I just think there's just way more tools in the closet at this point. I think this is one of those, one guy going in one direction, another guy going in another. And Hernandez loss doesn't mean that much. To Cerrone, just the way Cerrone's fought his last few fights has been sensational. Dan Hooker, there's a fight we're looking forward to, maybe the most on this card. Dan Hooker taking on the apologists, Team Apology, Vic James, Vic.
Yeah.
Wes,
James.
I'll let you go on your rant box here. Why is Dan Hooker going to win this fight?
Because James Vick, punching bag. Yeah, man. We've had some of our best nights on Twitter over the past couple years during James Vick bloody boxer fucking season. Him getting the shit beat out of him. It's been pretty fun. Even with all the joy we get out of watching James Vick get slept, I think the dude might be in a little bit of a declining phase, man. I know he's only 32, but I think Vic might be one of those, that 32-year-old guy that's been fighting for pretty much most of his adult life, and it's usually not good when you're got as many fights as he has in his 20s and stuff, and he's starting to get taken some pretty bad beatings, man. So yeah, I like Dan Hooker in this fight. I do honestly think it's a little bit of a closer fight for James Vick this time. Hooker has shown some he's had some flaws in his game. I know Barbosa is just a totally different animal than James Vick is. But he showed some serious holes in that fight, man. He took a pretty bad beating. But I don't Vic has used his range fairly well in the past. Just don't think that's going to be as much of an advantage in this fight against Hooker. And I think Hooker's a little bit better kickboxer than James Vick, and that's probably where this fight's going to be. And hell, at minus 125, I'll look for any reason to fade James Vick, and I'm going to do it again here.
All good. Nushan.
Yeah, Hooker's one of the more tall and long fighters that Vic has fought recently. Usually he's fighting guys that are, 5'9", 5'8", 5'10", something around there. And Hooker's a 6-foot guy with like a 70.5-inch reach. So I think we might see another one of those highlight reels. Vic definitely has that tall guy defense, and is for some reason with the reach that he has and height he has, he still is not able to keep guys away. I think Hooker can kind of get in tight and use that reach and hit him where it hurts. So the thing you do have to worry about is that was a pretty hellacious beating that Hooker took from Edson Barboza. He did take a decent amount of time off. That was mid-December, so that was a nice over half a year he took off. So that's a good thing to see. But that was a hell of a beating. So I haven't played Hooker. That number is getting cheaper and cheaper as the week goes on. So I might just hold off and see how low it actually goes. Will just be a small play because I do worry about that beating he took. But yeah, any time that you can fade Vic against a guy with some length and some punching power, it's a good thing to do.
I got Dan Hooker a C+, James Vick a C+. This should be a really fun fight. Both these guys tend to get hit a lot. They're both long for the weight class, and they're action fighters. This is a contender for fight of the night, I think. A clear contender. From what I've seen, though, Vic's chin is a much bigger question mark than Hooker's. Hooker is as durable as they come, as you saw it in the Edson Barboza fight. So I'll take durability here, even over maybe the guy that has maybe a higher talent ceiling. So Dan Hooker it is. Next fight up, return of Greg Hardy, taking on maybe the most overrated heavyweight on the roster, Juan Adams. Wes, break it down.
Yeah, I guess I don't get the Adams love here, and I do get it because I think it's just more of Greg Hardy hate than it is Adams love here. I've seen some people saying how Adams is the way more experienced guy here and stuff, and I don't know what the fuck they're looking at or watching. Both of them have about the same amount of fights. I think Adams has a couple more fights than Greg Hardy does.
Why? Because he's been in decisions more? I mean, come on.
I don't understand it. Greg Hardy is just the far superior athlete here. He hits way harder than Juan Adams. I don't get this line, man. Greg Hardy's gonna knock out Juan Adams, and then everybody's gonna say Juan Adams was a guy, inexperienced guy with only 6 fights. That's exactly what's gonna happen. All these same motherfuckers that are like, oh, Adams is so experienced, got all this, and he's gonna beat Greg Hardy. You know what's gonna happen. Hardy's gonna knock his guy out, and everybody's gonna hate some more, and Hardy's gonna go on and wreck another fool in a couple months. So. I don't really get this line, man. I figured Hardy would would at least be minus 180 or so here. I mean, at even money, I got to take some of that. I think what you want about Greg Hardy, his inexperience, whatever. There's no denying this guy's got talent, man. There's no denying he's a supreme athlete. There's no denying that he hits like a fucking truck, man. And those things in the heavyweight division, me and Jay have said over and over since Hardy has showed up on the scene, that shit can make you a top 5 heavyweight right now in this division. So I think Greg Hardy's well on his way, and he's going to knock out Juan Adams.
New Sean.
If you include amateur fights, Greg Hardy actually has one more fight than Juan Adams.
What about all the shit? What about all the grappling and physical punishment and he's put on in his professional football career?
I understand fading Greg Hardy, but I just don't get it in this matchup. This isn't an experienced guy that I think can take advantage of some things possibly. Adams, I think, has been training for a year or so longer than Hardy, but man, I don't get it. I don't get it. Hardy, like Wes said, big punching power. We've seen him take some shots and seem to be fine. Adams does have a bit of wrestling, but he hasn't really used it in his UFC career. Greg Hardy, I think, is continuing to shore the holes up and being who he was in the NFL, I'm sure that is helping that defense come along. So I just think this is going to be a kickboxing bout, and I got to take the superior athlete that punches harder and seems like he can take a better shot. I got Greg Hardy at plus 100. I got 2 units on him. It's still a bit of an unknown if I would be going bigger if there was a little bit less unknown, but then I probably wouldn't be getting the line I am. I think this is crazy. I think should be, like Wes said, minus 180, minus 170, something like that. It still is heavyweights and crazy shit does happen, but I got to go with the superior athlete, the guy that seems to be a lot better than what everybody thinks he is.
I got Adams the D, Greg Hardy D+. Oh, man. I have no idea how Adams is even a marginal favorite in this bout over Greg Hardy. Hardy's the way, way, way more likely to finish, given his huge punching power. Just his body of work so far in the UFC's career and his ability to finish fights. Adams is going to have to just push this to get to a decision. Hardy's not going to have to. And that's only if Hardy doesn't even throw anything in the second the second half of the fight, which I find unlikely. This is not a smartly lined fight. I'll go down in the flames if Hardy doesn't get the victory. I'm taking him as well. I think he's going to get the finish. This is our consensus bet of the week. I think what are we looking at, Nushan? Minus 105 for Greg Hardy?
Correct. Yep.
That's basically, you're very close to even money on who we all think is the superior fighter and the way, way, way more likely to finish. So consensus bet of the week, Greg Hardy, minus 105. 2 fights left on the card. We have another heavyweight bout coming up. It's Walt Harris taking on Mr. Ezekiel Alexei Oleinik. Wes.
Yeah, this is just kind of a really weird fight to me. Some of these heavyweight matchups, man, just I don't know. They're like picking names out of a hat anymore. It's how it seems. But Walt Harris is, man, he's got some skills, dude. He's a very good athlete too. But man, this old fuck is just tricky, man. I mean, outside of the choke is, I mean, he had Reem in some bad spots in their fight, man. Before before Reem finished him, man. I mean, he was turtled up on the cage and shit a couple times with Alexei dropping bombs on him, man. So Walt Harris just. His fight IQ is low, like a lot of these guys, man. And Alexei's a pretty smart cat. If Walt Harris doesn't catch him with something fairly early, I think this could get interesting, man. And I haven't put any money on this yet, but if you're gonna play a side, I think you got to take Alexi at some dog money here. He'll definitely be a pick for me and Toutmaster. And I mean, hey, if he climbs up a little more, it seems like Walt Harris does seem to take a little money in these fights. So if Alexi gets plus 150, plus 160 or so, I'll probably take a little shot on him.
Sean?
I hate betting aside on fights like this, especially at heavyweight. The more skilled guy is also the guy that's 42 years old. Oleinik didn't look terrible in the stand-up against Overeem until he got put away. Walt Harris seems to choke a lot. The side definitely seems to be Oleinik, but this is still heavyweights. Walt Harris still has power. He could land a bomb. I think if you take a side, it's got to be Oleinik. I have not done that yet. This is another one that I'm thinking about taking, watching some lines, and possibly will bet it, but nothing right now.
Okay, I got Oleinik a C-, Walt Harris a D+. We've seen this kind of fight before. Oleinik faces a guy with more offensive firepower. Oleinik always surprises on the feet, but somehow generally finds ways to the ground, even against far superior opponents to Walt Harris, and then finds his Ezekiel choke and gets the job done. I know Oleinik's getting up there in age, but man, I mean, the plus 130, I mean, sign me up. I think Oleinik gets it done with the finish. Plus 130 on Alexei Oleinik in this bout. Main event time, this is a competitive welterweight matchup. Rafael Dos Anjos taking on Leon Edwards. Wes.
Yeah, this is a pretty good one, man. I think this is about where RDA is at this point in his career. Gonna be giving him guys like Leon Edwards to kind of see where they're at. They need to take that next step or not. And I think it's a close fight, man. I've been a big RDA fan for a long time. Man, I never really was really sold on Leon Edwards. But man, over his past couple of fights, I'm starting to get there, man. I think he's pretty good, man. He showed me a lot against Gunner, man. This it's going to be a tough one, man. RDA's one of the tougher guys, right around that, top 5, top 7. I've gone back and forth on this one. I kind of lean Leon Edwards, just being, the younger guy at this point. RDA's got to be slowing down a little. I know it was a really big win against Kevin Lee, but I mean, I think Kevin Lee is what, a lot of us thought he was this whole time. He got that step up, and he's not that guy, man. I think Leon Edwards could be that guy, man. So I haven't bet this fight. It's rare I pass on a main event, man, but this really might be one that I don't have any money on because it's that close, I think. But I'm leaning Leon Edwards. I think he could get a later round finish in this fight, man. But we'll see. Like I said, it's hard for me to pick this one. I could see it going a couple different ways. Leon Edwards, the tepid pick right now, but probably won't have a bet on this fight, which is pretty crazy.
Nushan, I wasn't thinking we'd hear the word tepid on this podcast ever, but here we are.
Yeah, you get surprised.
Yeah, no, we're getting
surprised every week.
We're almost at a new decade.
I got a thesaurus sitting right next to me.
Expanding that vocabulary.
You just don't fucking know.
I think Leon Edwards is going to want a slow fight. That's kind of the way he goes. He picks his shots, and that's not really Dos Anjos' style. Dos Anjos comes forward. He does get hit, but he also does a lot of hitting himself, and he likes those kind of higher paced fights. At this weight, I think he's able to do that with his better cardio. Leon Edwards, I don't know if his cardio is there. He kind of gave away that third round against Gunner, wasn't able to get up. I don't know if that was a gas tank issue or he just kind of thought he had the fight in the bag. Not too sure. Kind of possibly he thought he gassed himself out in the second trying to finish Gunner. I don't know. But I think if RDA can push the pace, and connect with some punches and do some wall install and just kind of grind on him, I think he will have the better cardio. This likely goes to decision. I think it's a close fight. Leon Edwards is kind of just always underrated. Nobody just it's kind of crazy looking who he's fought and how he's done. I mean, he beat Tumanov when he was a monster, beat Luque, beat Barberina, Sabata, that's kind of meh, and then he beat Cerrone pretty easily and took out kind of a dangerous Gunnar Nelson. Seems to be underrated. I just like Dos Anjos a bit here. I could be wrong, but I think this is another step up in the division. Dos Anjos has been fighting killers for the last 3 years, and that's kind of just his normal. So he's going to be ready to go. I just had to take a small shot at RDA. I got a really good number. It was plus 137. I think it's a close fight. I think I'll take RDA by decision.
Okay then. I got RDA at B+, Edwards at B-. Dos Anjos is just a true veteran. He'll work for 5 rounds. He's a little small for this division after fighting at lightweight, and that could present a problem here against Edwards, who's a bigger fighter. I think that if that could be one of his challenges, but the longer this fight wears on, the more it favors Rafael Dos Anjos. We saw it in the Kevin Lee fight. I think we see that way here. So I think this is a situation, if you like Edwards, you bet him early. And if you like Dos Anjos, this is a perfect live betting spot after the first or even after the second. If Dos Anjos looks like he's starting to make some inroads, that'll be the time to bet. So I will, as I think Dos Anjos does enough to win, takes over late, I'll hold off on a bet for Dos Anjos for now and look for live betting to make a bet on the former lightweight champion. And that does it for this week's MMA Analysis podcast. Thanks, you guys, for jumping on as always. The UFC, I think, is finally off the following week.
Negative.
Oh,
it's
sorry.
coming to my hometown. I'll be
Jesus, there's 5 more events in a row.
We got Max Frankie.
Frankie and Cyborg against Spencer's next weekend. It's kind of a rough pay-per-view card.
Did you really just talk about something called Spencer?
Yeah, well, it's going to be a lamb to a slaughter. Cyborg going to murder. It's going to be
just
awesome.
Trying to set up the Nunez rematch.
It's a pretty weak card, Sean.
It is a very weak card, especially for a pay-per-view card, but I kind of have to go.
This is a really good main event.
Yep.
You gotta go watch Max fight. I mean, come on. You
have the chance to. You should. Or Frankie. Those are 2 legends, Hall of Famers.
Yeah, we were supposed to see Frankie when he was supposed to fight in Denver, and then we got the Korean Zombie Yair fight. Now, hopefully, I get to see him this time, and get to see Cyborg murder a fake Canadian.
Oh, don't forget that we have a pretty good boxing match this weekend too. Pac-Man against Keith Thurman. Been talking,
Mr.
and
I was in big trouble.
Man, I'll tell you what. I'll put it out there. One of my favorite bets this weekend is fucking Keith Thurman. Man, that I didn't hammer it, but at 125, I put a good bet on Keith Thurman. Is at plus 135 now and climbing. That Asian money, man, comes in on Pacquiao. You might end up seeing plus 160, plus 170 on Thurman.
Jesus.
I would hammer that, man. Right. I love Pacquiao, man. He's an all-time great. 8 division champion. Might not ever see anything like it again, but he's in deep here, man. He's in deep with a power puncher. Any kind of plus money on Keith Thurman is hammer time. I'm telling you, eat it up, go get it. One of the better bets on any card this weekend.
Shit.
There it is. Again, thanks for joining us, and looks like we'll be back next week, and we'll be back for the foreseeable future without a break. There's a lot going on. I didn't realize Valentina Shevchenko fights in 3 weeks. Good times. God. And Covington Lawler. That'll be fun. Anyway, all right, guys. we are done. We'll be back next week. Enjoy the fights.